Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. Hold on. Welcome everybody to Feedback Friday. Hello, hello, hello. Bunch of people in the chat already. We've got two chats going on right now, folks. We've got the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat. So if you're on YouTube and you don't see anyone, maybe jump in the Twitch. If you're on the Twitch and you don't see anyone, maybe jump onto the YouTube if you want to chat with people. But anyway, hello everybody. Dark Rosen, is there a link to the Discord? It's right there, my friend. The Twitch is just twitch.tv/Soltians, so you should be able to find that pretty easily. What's going on? Who's first today? Mark Kisser was first today. Hello, hello. Toaster Wave in the building. Frick, hello. Feather Walk. Neocoder. Hi, Neocoder. First time for both Neocoder and Toaster Wave, at least chatting anyway. Mark Kisser, hello. I'm so ready. Can I rub your head? I took a dump and washed my hands so they're really clean, I promise. Depends how good looking you are and above age and also female. And also people will pay for that. Next, oh cool, I did submit something already without knowing you did this. Very cool. Make sure you tag it with the feedback post. I'll go into that in just a second. But let's do this. Frumius, what up? How you doing, Frumius? Dark Rosen, hello on the Twitch as well. Rhizone, hello. Kai Rosen, hello, 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 everybody. Just finished making emotes and sub badges because I became affiliate today. Hype in the chat. Congratulations. What up, Marge? How you doing today? Everybody's in the building today, so let's do this. Let's jump straight in. So let me explain how it works for those of you that have never ever seen one of these things before. That's the nicest rejection I've ever received. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. Worse. How do we submit games? Pretty simple. Thanks for following Dark Rosen. Appreciate you. Okay, so here's how it works. Go on the community Discord. You have to be a member of the Discord, obviously. That's how we get you. That's the scam. Get scammed into joining the Discord. Okay, this is just bot log. Ignore the bot log. Ignore the bot log. Feedback. You come to the feedback section. If you were just above my bald head here, you'll see all the different channels. Everyone chats in general. Well, sometimes. And then go to feedback section. Go to the feedback section, and then here you can create a post, basically. You can go, okay, let me make my little post. I'm going to make a new post. I'm going to say, oh, please play my game. Lol, lol, lol. It took me 10 years. Hopefully it works. It's a clone. And you put that there. And make sure, this is important, make sure you click the Feedback Friday one if you want it to be included in any Feedback Friday stuff. If you don't click this, then I can't promise. I can't promise that it will be in Feedback. I mean, it definitely won't be in Feedback Friday. But one cool thing is, if you've already posted it and you haven't added the Feedback Friday tag, what you can do is just right click it, edit tags, Feedback Friday. That's it. I think that's what you can do, or you can just let me know and someone will do that for you. And then you just post it. There you go. And we've got a I can't promise that your work will be seen today because we've got a big backlog. Every time we come on to give some feedback, there's always a big backlog of stuff that needs to be seen. So let's see what the backlog's like today. Yeah, so if you posted today, most likely it's not going to get seen today. However, if you're in any of the other streams, sometimes I stream Monday and Wednesday on Twitch, you can just use channel points to request feedback at any time. 9 out of 10 posts will get a link to a video of yours as feedback. 9 out of 10 posts will get a link to a video of yours as feedback? What do you mean? This is worse than my plumber scammed me. Scammed. Right, here we go. So let's take a look. So there's a bunch. We got up to here last time. So actually, I was going to say not that many. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 20. We only got 20 posts behind. We're only 20 posts behind. That isn't that bad, actually. That isn't that bad. So let's just get started. I think the sooner that we get started, the better. Because we can give feedback. And by the way, while I set my drawing tablet up, I might not give feedback. It really depends. So the way this works is this isn't just the amount of time that you get on your feedback. It really depends on your work. Really depends on if I can add anything to conversation or if there's anything. If you get to it, can I get mine included in the review? What do you mean in the review? You mean in the feedback thing? Can you not right click, edit the tag and make sure it's a Feedback Friday thing? Oops, I accidentally did that. My bad. So let's jump in. Here we go. First up today, folks. I hope everyone's doing well, by the way. I had a pretty good day. A really good day, actually. Some really good food today. Some nice company, some good food. Very nice. So, Buddy draws somewhat. Buddy draws somewhat. Looks like you draw somewhat quite well as well. Let's check this out. What up, Mini Titani? How you doing? Titani, sorry if I messed your name up. Welcome to the stream. Let's do this. Check this out. Very cool. Some nice shading going on here. Some even crosshatch shading going on. Very cool drawing. Different line widths. Different, you got the thick and the thin line widths. You got variable line weight. Very cool. Very nice little drawing. I'm going to have to... Whoosh, and then I can't really see it flat on. I can't give you too much feedback on what it would look like flat on because I can't see that. But overall, it's quite nice. Overall, it's quite nice. It's a really good drawing. I think you should keep drawing. That's my first bit of feedback. You should keep drawing. I think one thing you should be careful of is compositionally things, elements like this. One thing that's going to help you is to look into... I'm going to actually point them out and I'm going to see if chat knows what they're called. I'm going to point a couple of them out here. What do you think? What are these called, chat? UFO. It's not UFO. It is tangents. Tangents, tangents, tangents. Yeah, one thing to look out for when you're drawing anything are these things called tangents. And they're lines which... There's a bunch of different types of tangents. Give it a quick Google. I'm not going to go through all of them. But they're basically lines that connect which make the form look connected. You know, they make different objects look connected because of the way that you've drawn lines. For example, if you were to just remove this line here, notice how now, and you extend it along maybe just a little bit to show the overlap a bit more. Notice how this character sitting on the tree stump, I believe that is, no longer looks like the character is connected to the tree stump. Same thing here. If you just to overlap it in a different way, like you kind of want, see what I mean? Notice how now the character no longer looks like they're connected. Same thing with the hair here. Just have it intersect more like a, what's the world? That's parallel, perpendicular. If you have more of a perpendicular line, basically. If you have more of a perpendicular line, then it looks more like they're not connected. Though you got to be careful with some compositional things because this still kind of looks like they're connected just because of the way that this is composed. I would personally, because this face, like usually faces with composition, they're quite a big detail, right? I would probably just keep this a little bit more blank, right? Because this is a very contemplative piece, right? The character's sitting there, they're looking into the distance, they're like contemplating life or whatever it is that they're doing. Maybe they've missed a Soul Tune stream and they just are scared, or maybe they can see in the distance a UFO. Whatever the case is, probably the UFO, let's be real. Whatever the case is, these compositional tricks like leading lines towards the face, having area, giving it space so that there's contrast. You know, there's a big white space with the face inside. You know what I mean? That's going to help you a little bit when thinking about composition. But other than that, just keep drawing. Keep doing your thing because it's really cool. UFO is still early. It still needs some warm-up. Usually it appears by the end of the stream. We already got a UFO. This one's warm. This one now is had in the oven, cooking. This stream is also amazing. This stream is amazing. Dark Rosen, appreciate you being in both streams. What's going on, Lizard Like? What's going on, Dom? How you doing, Dom? What's going on, Luca? How you doing? How's it going, Dom? How's life? How's the game project? How's everyone doing? Anyone working on any cool projects at the minute? But this is really nice. Keep drawing. Keep it up. Keep it up. I'm going to say spoke about on stream. Okay, next up. Let's go. Look at that. Zooming through. First one done. 20 to go. I think it's 20. I think we've got 20 left. It feels off, says Yeast Beast. So I'm struggling to color this properly. I'm unsure with colors, tone, and the general composition of it all. Lovely. Any help would be amazing. I love these posts. First thing I'd recommend for anyone making any art like this, just like that. For anyone making any art, sorry for the flashbang. I'd recommend my video. My video, how to make game art, is basically what I'm going to be talking about right now. Still my good old job, so not great. I thought you were leaving. Or you got like a notice period or something. What a rare moment of early UFO appearance. Cheers. Sometimes we don't get the UFO. Sometimes the UFO isn't in. Sometimes it isn't in. Cos. Sine over cos. Tangent. Love it. Tan. Okay, so the Yeast Beast said they're struggling to color this properly. I'm unsure with colors, tone, and the general composition of it all. That's basically all of color theory. You're struggling with all of color theory. So let's put this into perspective. Firstly, let's take a look at the grayscale values. That's where I always start when I'm checking out anything to do with colors, any sort of compositional stuff. Let's take a look at the values, because colors are important, yeah? Colors are important, don't get me wrong. Colors are important. But what's more important than your colors are your values. If colors, let's do it a better way. Let's do it a smarter way. Values are more important than your colors. Because if your colors are nice, but your values are bad, it's going to look wrong. No matter what colors you put on there, no matter what hues you put on there, if your values are wrong, it ain't going to look good. It's just not going to look nice. Whereas you could have some crazy saturated colors, you know, and it's going to look nice. It's going to look nice, even though they're crazy saturated, you know, harsh colors. It's going to look nice if your values are right. So let's take a look at the values. First thing I'll see, right, is this looks like a little video game screenshot. And I would say that value structure-wise, your value structure is off. Okay, so one thing I talk about in the game art video is having a hierarchy of information. This is especially important for video game art because hierarchy of visual information, okay? This is especially important for video game art because there are things that the player needs to be aware of at all times. Like one thing might be, and you get to decide this. This isn't like a general thing. You can decide whatever it is. You get to choose basically, and then you create visual rules for your art based on this. So one thing I'd say is player position. Okay, player position is probably one of the most important things I would assume because you're controlling the character. Now, if we look at the color version, the red helps it stand out a lot. But value-wise, the character's kind of lost. You see how the character's lost against the background here? Now, if the character is actually against... Whoa, why is it not letting me edit that? The character's against this background, a darker background, it might not be so bad. But the red helps with that because there's no value contrast, but you fix that by having color contrast, so that's good. But just be careful of the values as well. I'd also just say look at the general value range of the character. You could make the character stand out a lot more by having a higher value range. Like notice the value range of something like this element here in the midground. This element seems really important. Why? Because the outlines are super dark and you have a high value range compared to something like the character, which doesn't have as high a value range. You have basically this. And notice how there's a lot of contrast here. There's obviously contrast here because of the light, the white, which is making it stand out a lot, but just keep it in mind. It can be difficult to balance these things because they're kind of competing for attention, right? They're competing for attention where you've got one white thing and then you also have this over here, which is also standing out because of the dark outlines. Mr. Elliptic, what's going on? How you doing? Thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? What was going on? Let's give a shout out to Mr. Elliptic over on Twitch. Hello. Hope your stream was good. We're just doing Feedback Friday at the minute, folks. Basically, you submit your art, your games, whatever. We give some feedback to it. You're going to grab some toast and chill? Nice. What are you putting on the toast? Or is it just dry toast? Guy asked me to draw him a character sprite sheet with 4 frames, show him what I can do. We might be doing a game jam. Can someone give me inspiration for the character? Frog. There you go. Honey on toast. Sounds amazing. Dude, I love honey. Put honey in everything. Currently working on... Oh, I already read that. Oh, no, I didn't read it. You're working on a 2D platformer for my student association's 25th anniversary. Your first game project. Nice. Good luck. Good luck. Hope that goes well. It was good. I worked on a bit of FPS and then a game jam. Let's go. What was the theme for the game jam? I love FPS games. If you want to share anything, let us know. We'll check it out. Okay. So that's what I'd say first of all. Secondly, let's take a look at... So we'll continue with the values. Let's take a look at your value structure. So what you've done is here, you've got a background. Then you've gone, okay, let's start creating layers here. Midground. And you're starting to layer things up, which is cool. This is working. You can see how this works, right? You can see how you have depth. You've created a sense of depth. Evening. It's 3 game jams actually. 1 with an asset pack and 44-hour limits, and then pirate jam and bot. How much time do you have? How much time do you have? Your Soul Tunes, your Ace tutorial on how to use it made me like more this world and inspired me to start learning mixel art. You mean pixel art? Hopefully not mixel art. There's nothing wrong with mixels also. What's going on, Alex? Thanks so much. Hey, no worries. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. So you have structure in your piece, and now you're struggling with the color. And I think it's because the only reason is it's the composition, right? Like, notice how when I put it like this, I compose it like this, it actually doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look so bad because it's composed quite nicely. And I just doodled that. I think the problem here is that, again, it's competing for your attention because you have saturated colors. Whoa. Remember how I said value contrast before? So we've already looked at the value contrast of the character, and that's competing with the value contrast of this midground element. But then you also have color contrast because you have saturated colors. Let's take a look. This is actually mad saturated. Look at the slider over here, top left, folks. Bing, bing, bing. Look, mad saturated. And in fact, max saturated colors here. That one's not as high, but it's still high. High saturated colors. Another saturated color is the red. So your most saturated color is the red. Now the red is against this lower or like mid saturated for the character, so it's standing out, right? But then you have these high saturated colors against the lower saturated colors. So these saturated colors are doing what? They're standing out. Even though they're of a similar hue, they're not like hue contrast. It's mostly saturation contrast. But because of that, you're getting these areas in the piece which are standing out quite a lot. You're getting these areas in the piece which stand out quite a lot, like the tips of the tree. This bit here especially, because this is a super high saturation. So if you want things to stand out less or to be balanced more, you could just play with the saturation a little bit. And this really depends on where you want the focus to be. With any sort of environment, this is something you have to consider with like story. You know what I mean? You have to consider the story. You have to consider the focus point, like what is the purpose of this piece in the background. If it's just to be something interesting to look at, then it works quite well actually. I don't think it's that bad. I think your overall this background isn't that bad. You know, I don't think you have to worry too much about it. It's just small things that you need to consider for what the player is going to look at, like contrast between the player and the background, the contrast between things sort of competing for attention and stuff like that. So let's take a look. If I was to just mess with this, the best way to mess with it, just do this. Just select the area, right? Create a copy of it. Boom, 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 boom. And then just play with tonal correction, basically. You can play with tone curves. You can play with lots of different things. I'm just going to mess it up. And don't worry about messing things up. You can't see the curve editor that I'm messing up now. But notice if I do something like this, like I'm messing it up here. And it changes entirely the mood. It changes the mood of the background. What I've done here is I've lightened the darks and slightly increased the lightness of the lights. And notice how now you get a more cartoony vibe because they're lighter in this color, which is quite saturated anyway, but it's quite dark. So once I've lightened it up, it actually looks like a different scene entirely. See that? And that's just from one tone change. I think one thing that might help is to have a similar sort of saturation if you want to balance it more, you can have similar saturation, basically. You need to go have fun. It's pretty cool. You can put all your effort into one fight. Perfect for a jam. That's awesome, Mr. Elliptic. Well, I appreciate you for I can't speak. I appreciate the raid. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Let's get some hype in the chat from Mr. Elliptic. Make sure you are following them on Twitch if you're not already. What up, Tokay Dragon? How you doing? For those of you that are confused why I'm talking about Twitch, we're on Twitch and YouTube right now. Both live. You can watch both streams at once. It's insane. What was I talking about? Solo is the best. Thank you. 44 hours in total. The other 2 jams are super long and I'm not going to work for 44. That's crazy. Need to watch your feedback streams more often. It's super interesting. I'm glad you like it. Visually different values can be interpreted as depth values, which could cause this competition for attention. Exactly. And one thing that stands out to me is the lightness of these. Like the lightness of these rocks, you could probably push them back a bit. if you don't want them to compete so much, because look at the value contrast between the grass on the top, I believe that's grass, and the rocks down below. Like that's quite high value contrast. It's actually more value contrast than the character, it seems like, because you haven't got that much dark in there. So it's just things to watch out for, you know, things to watch out for, which seem overall really good, but slightly unbalanced. That's what I would say. It's just slightly unbalanced. When is Soul Game Jam coming? I have no idea. That would be a fun thing to do, though, wouldn't it? Whenever I get to finish the next video, whenever I get to make a video. Boss Rush Jam sounds fun. Basically, Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, that sounds cool. Do you know what Libre Sprite is? I do. Yes. If so, what do you think about it? It's cool. Open source version of Sprite. I don't think it has as many features as Sprite does currently, but I mean, if you can't afford Sprite and you want to test it out, basically try Libre Sprite. Or you can compile Sprite as well yourself. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Just balance Daniel-san. Not just for karate, but for whole life. When is so? That would be awesome. Did you finish Faceplant? Yeah, of course, finished. It's out now. You not been playing it? What's wrong with you? I haven't finished it yet. We'll get there. Next up, spoken about on stream. But if you want to learn more about that kind of stuff, check out my what is it? Game art. How to make game art tutorial. That's the one. How to make game art tutorial. That one goes into depth. That one is actually a very difficult video to make. So go show it some love. Okay, next up. Let's go. Where are we? Here. Lights. I don't know. Let's check it out. Boom, boom. I don't know if it'll be too much, but how could I add some light on the buildings and the frame around it? I'm not too sure about it. Feels like something is missing. Made an update. Look, they did it. It's perfect. Yeah, you have to first finish the video, then finish that one game, then finish Faceplant, then make a Soul Game Jam. I think I'm gonna... I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll figure it out. How are you doing, Zai? We'll figure it out. Video, I'm definitely gonna finish that video. I think you did a good job with this. I think you did a good job with the lights here, actually. I think this is a very nice colored piece. I really like the colors of this piece. It reminds me of like sunset. I guess that's what you're going for, since the sun is behind all of the buildings. And it just looks nice. It's just a nice, cozy piece. You know, what feedback would I have? I don't really have a huge amount of feedback. I think you've done a really nice thing of putting the lights in this top area here, because you haven't put lights down here. And I think that actually helps. What you could do, if you wanted to make it look more city-like, because it does kind of look empty down here, but at the same time it looks like these towers are very high up because you can't see the bottom of them. You could, if you wanted, put more lights down the bottom and maybe a little bit more... it just depends how busy you want it to be. Like, this is really just a... This isn't really like direct feedback for the piece. This is more just like... filling things out if you wanted it to, like making it feel more city-like rather than empty at the bottom. I guess that's the only criticism that I would have, is it looks a little bit empty at the bottom, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because your eye is drawn to the center there, you know. But maybe I would try and do some trees or something, or like a lake or whatever, or a river. Do you know when you see that in pieces? Have a look here. Maybe do something like that. It looks like a bit of water. You'd have reflections and stuff, and or highway. Yeah, highway is quite cool. Little things you could do to make it feel more city-like. It just depends on what you're going for, really. Would be a great Minecraft pin, yeah. I like how those two dark houses have outlines. Yeah, me too. I think it looks cool. It looks like the sun is like hitting off the back of it like a rim light. How are you today? Doing pretty good, thanks. Bad tunes. How are you? Use a lot of dithering with a great pattern, by the way. Dumb question. Is there like some widely known patterns that could be categorized as the basics of dithering? There are a lot of different dithering patterns. I'd recommend just Googling dithering patterns. One sec. Do, 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 do. Okay, cool. Yeah, other than that, you've got a really nice piece here. Really nice piece, and I like what you've done with the place. Spoken about on stream. If anyone else has anything, if anyone else has anything to add, by the way, during these, feel free, please, talk. Talk. Let us know. Let people know. It's not just about me giving feedback, about all of you. Is getting scared before sharing something normal? 100%. That doesn't go away. And there's a couple of tactics, and I've experienced that recently, actually, with my next video project. Like, I've experienced that with my next video project, and it doesn't go away. And it's because you're worried about what other people think, but you have to kind of realize that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't actually matter. If you like it, not even if you like it, like, because I'm working on a video at the minute and I don't really like it, but I think it's just about getting stuff out there. You obviously don't have to release stuff if you don't like it, but it's normal, definitely, to get scared before sharing something. Especially, what that means, Bad Tunes, is you have put effort into something. You've put effort and thought process, effort, thought, care, attention into something. And now you're going to release that thing, and you're worried about the criticism. You're worried about the criticism, but is that how you spell criticism? Let's not talk about that. But there's one thing you got to know about criticism. There's a couple things you got to know. There's a lot of things you got to know about criticism, actually, but critique is always going to happen. You know, it's always going to happen. And one thing that I remember someone telling me is, you imagine you're a farmer and you grow the juiciest, most ripe peach in the world. Yeah, it's the greatest peach ever. What does a peach look like? I don't even know. This is what the greatest peach in the world looks like. Something like this, okay? You could grow the juiciest, ripest peach, the most amazing peach in the world. But there's always going to be someone that just doesn't like peaches. There's always going to be someone that just doesn't like peaches. Now, you have to remember that. And also remember that whatever someone thinks about your stuff, it doesn't actually matter. Because why would it matter? You know, why would it actually matter? Now, sometimes there's genuine feedback where someone's trying to help you. Like, I think good critique is helping you improve towards your goal. You know, but if someone is just saying, "Oh, I don't like this. This isn't what I like." You know, I don't like this. I don't like this. That shouldn't matter to you, because you don't need to worry about that. You know, you don't need to worry about what other people like and don't like, because you don't have to live their life. You don't have to be in their mind all the time. You're just in your mind. You're in your mind, in your place. And if somebody doesn't like something, it doesn't matter. And you shouldn't worry about that. You should just worry about what you want to do and what makes you happy, I think. I like your style. I like how you write and imagine stuff you're talking or thinking about on pen and paper. So I appreciate that. Just don't worry about it. Just post it. There's a good tactic for this. It's called post and ghost. If you're worried about what other people think, don't look at what they say. Post and ghost. You'll get over it real quick. Post and ghost. You're like pirate software, but for art. I love pirate software. It's also impossible to do every aspect of a project perfectly. I always pick one aspect that I really care about and focus on feedback on that part more than anything else. Yeah. And yeah, and even with feedback, like, you have to be careful who you ask for feedback. You know, you got to be careful who you ask for feedback. If you wouldn't ask somebody for advice, don't listen to their feedback. You know, and it doesn't always mean not to listen to feedback, because sometimes, like, so I've listened to video. So let me give you an example. Right? I make have made YouTube videos, as a lot of you know, and there's been YouTube comments. Okay, I'll get YouTube comments on them, blah blah blah. Such and such says blah blah blah. Such and such says blah blah blah. Such and such says blah 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 blah. And you can get like 1,000 positive comments, but there'll always be one that is negative. There'll always be one that is negative, or there'll always be a couple that, or maybe a majority that are negative. Now, what I realized about the negative ones is you can try and explain yourself, blah blah blah. There's no point really, but there's something that stands out with me with negative feedback, or something that is perceived as negative, or not very positive, and that is if there's truth to it, that's actually good feedback. And how do you know there's truth to it? And that's if you believe it. That's if you believe it. So if you think that, like for example, I made a video once. Was a tutorial. It was the background art tutorial that I made. It was a background art tutorial, and I was making this video, and I was making it, and the main purpose of this video is to provide information for people. And I chucked in some, also what I like to do is do entertainment. And when I first started making these entertaining informational videos, so like tutorials with a bit of comedy in them, I didn't realize that, what up Phantom Rush? I didn't realize that the most value that people are getting from this is the information. And I put in a lot of entertainment. And somebody commented saying, look, the information is great, but there's just too much distracting segments of comedy. Now, at first I thought, nah, no way, this is the best thing ever. But then I thought about it, and I was like, actually, they're right, because I feel that as well when I watch it. Like, I feel it. And if I feel it, and if I believe it, it's just somebody pointing something out. You know what I mean? Like, if you've had some food and you've got something in your teeth and you can feel it in your teeth, and somebody goes, you've got something in your teeth. That might be something that you feel embarrassed about, but they're not wrong. They're not wrong, and there's truth to it. And if you feel that there's truth to it, then it might actually be good feedback. So that's why it can be difficult to get actual critique. It can be difficult to receive critique. It's difficult to give critique, and it's difficult to receive critique, especially because you want to do everything right. You don't want to be judged on your stuff. But being judged on your stuff and receiving good critique is the only way to improve, really, long term. Yeah. Can't disappoint your fans if you have no fans. Yes, just isolate everyone. Man, I will say the relative game dev perfectly sums up game dev and inspired me so much. I am so ready to climb that wall, but I always somehow don't. Just take your time. Take your time. Peaches are nice. You gotta like them. You tell them much. Okay, next up, what are we working on? This piece. My indie game character portrait needs some advice to make it better. Effect in UI. Let's go. Have a look. Let's see what people said. I think overall you did a good design form. The green shirt is really good. That being said, I feel the nose is a bit weird. Be mindful of light source because the ears highlights seem a bit off. I would personally remove that straight pixel above the left eye. This is very specific. Maybe it would be good if you could add a bit more folds on the left side of the cone, a little bit of hue shifting on the darker colors and decrease the value of the... Okay. Thank you for the feedback. The second one feels better. I think overall what I see with this is just... It looks a little flat even though you have shading. And I think the reason it looks flat is because of the sort of pillow shaded vibe of all of the shading. So what is pillow shading firstly? Let's get into the meat of that. Pillow shading is basically, right? Just going to this. It's basically when you shade... This is an object. Okay. And rather than having any sort of directional light, you just shade it like this. There you go. There's my lighting. Now notice if you take same object and you do something like, I don't know, this. I don't know. This. It immediately has, oh, it looks like there's a face in there. What the heck? Cool. It immediately has just slightly more form, you know? There's slightly more form to it. Whereas if you're doing something like notice how everything here is lit. Everything here is lit, like front on lit, you know? The character's head is actually a bit better. So let's go from the character's head. What I read from the character's face is that there's a light source, yeah, this way. Let's just take that whole thing, actually. There's a light source this way, so let's go with that. Okay, there's one big I was going to say tip then. It is one big tip for shading things, and that's don't be scared of shadow. Don't be scared of shadow. It's okay for things to be in shadow. You don't have to show everything. You don't have to show everything, and that's going to help you a lot. So let's take a look at this. Let's just paint all of the places that are in light or in shadow, okay? So let's just hide it. I'm just going to do it the way I would do it. I'm going to hide all of this. I'm going to take the whole coat, actually. I'm going to take the whole coat. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this in shadow. I'm going to put this. There we go. And now I'm just going to light it. I'm going to light it the same, even this neck here. Okay. Now let's add light to it. Where's the light going to go? How do you know that, first of all? Well, what comes down here is your understanding of basic 3D shapes. So let's imagine the head is a sphere. Okay, let's imagine the neck is a cylinder connected to the head. Imagine this top part of the body is a sphere connected to the bottom. You can do a bean. People like to do beans. Just depends on how... Firstly, I'd say your anatomy is a little off. That's okay. Proportions in basic anatomy is going to help you draw things a bit better. Like, it's going to help you shade the form in a better way. So practicing your proportions and practice your proportions and practice your basic shading that's all you need to do here. Like, it's not super complicated stuff. But anyway, so you're drawing the basic 3D shapes, and how do you know where the light lies? Just imagine those 3D shapes have wireframes around them. Boom, 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 boom. That just comes from practice, you know, practicing basic 3D shapes like that. So now you can shade things in a way which makes them look 3D, because you're not considering these things as 2D shapes anymore. You're considering these things as 3D shapes. Let's take these colors. Would I put any on the neck here? Maybe here. And then let's do a little bit. And the rest of it, I'm going to leave dark. Same thing with this shirt here. Let's take this light color. I'm going to take this front bit, but remember there's a jacket there. The jacket might be leaving some cast shadow. So I'm not going to do it everywhere. I'm just going to do it maybe a little bit here. Maybe a little bit on the chest. With some knowledge of anatomy, you'll know where to put this shadow. So we'll have some on the pectorals. We'll do some on the abs or something. Doing this on the right layer. I am. And I'm only going to do a little bit. You don't need to do. You don't need to go crazy with this. You know. Let's do the same with. I do actually like the way that you've done the folds. So let's try and keep that a little bit consistent. You'll know folds better than me. Best way to know which folds to do. Reference, 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 reference. Now this coat, right? The coat stands out quite a lot. Because, look, there's a head here. And what happens? What happens when the light is touching the head? The head will cast a shadow. The head will cast a shadow onto the coat. So this whole bit up here wouldn't even be lit. So that's something you got to be careful about. Let's just do a little bit of light, maybe here. Let me actually see that. Do some light here. Maybe all of this side is lit. I don't know. Depends on the side. But I imagine that isn't all lit. Do, 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 do. And all of this could be in shadow, you know? This doesn't need to be lit at all either. I'm just doing this quickly to prove a point. Let's say it is. Keep the sides consistent, you know? Keep the parts consistent with your shapes. Bounce light and all that good stuff. Maybe just do little bits. And you'll quickly realize that actually, that hard. Start adding form to things. You know what I mean? Form. Basic 3D shapes. Notice how putting less in the light is helping the form, whereas you're lighting everything from the front. You're lighting everything from the front, especially in the coat, and you're destroying the form. You know what I mean? And obviously I did this quickly, and you could mess with the folds. You could mess with the texture of the coat and stuff. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like that, but notice how sometimes less is more, especially with shadow. Focus on light. Like you did with the face. You actually did a really good job with the face, leaving this whole side in shadow. You know, that's actually really cool. That's why the face reads more 3D to me. But overall, very good job. Let's move on. Hope that makes sense. Next. Talk about on stream. Some heads reflect light. They are Illuminati heads. Fear of the dark. Yeah, fear of the dark. Fear of the shadow. Thank you for the feedback on my pixel art sprite sheet on my pillow blanket characters. It really helped. Hey, no worries, Kitty. Thanks for submitting it. Appreciate it. Keep up the awesome work. Okay, let's check this out. This is, I'd love to hear more about how to anti-alias better. I've been practicing 22 icons on 60 by 60 canvas and done it in 1 to 2 days. Progress can be seen from upper left to right until down. Hold on. Upper left to right until down. Okay. What do you think would be a good workout for anti-aliasing? Okay. Anti-aliasing. I like anti-aliasing. So, these are awesome, firstly. These are really, really great portraits. There's a huge amount of character in these. Your pixel art's really nice. Your expressions are nice. Your design choices are nice. So, very nice work. Anti-aliasing. Let's talk about that. So what is anti-aliasing? People are asking. I don't think you've done a bad job, actually, firstly. So notice this area here. Anti-aliasing is the usage of pixels to like blur a line almost. You're blurring lines, you're blurring details, you're blurring things by adding an in-between step. So if I draw a pixel art line, somehow, if I draw this line, a circle, that's not a circle, but you get the point. If I draw this, okay, and I'll clean it up just because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of thing. It's going to have jaggies, whatever. If I draw this, I can't do it. It's actually annoying me. Okay, if I draw this, oh, hold on. No problem. If I draw this, anti-aliasing is very, very simple. It's the in-between value, or some in-between value. It doesn't have to be 50%. If we consider the black is 100% and the white is 100% white, if we go right smack bang in the middle, 50%, and I can soften some areas. Now, areas that you soften, it really depends on what you want to be soft or not. Now, I'd say this 50% is a little bit dark. You can mess with it. Maybe go a little bit lighter. Depends on the areas that you're softening, right? Now, if I just excessive anti-aliasing, hold on. If I do excessive anti-aliasing, like on every single point of this, it starts to look a little off. So there's a balance. There's a balance that you can use. You can do it on both sides, you know? Notice how this original line here, look at the difference. Look at the difference now between this line on this pixel art on the left and this pixel on the right. It looks a little softer, but it also looks excessive. So that's why I'd always recommend when you're doing anti-aliasing, just take a look at how it always looks, you know, and just judge it yourself, how you want something to appear. Like, do I want this to appear sharper? Do I want it to appear softer? What does it look? Does it look sharper or softer with more or less, right? Now, if I do something like this and you zoom out from this point, this section here looks really soft and buzzy. It almost looks buzzy, right? But it almost looks a little bit too much. So maybe I'll like pull away from that a bit. Maybe I'll take some away. What does that look like now? Well, because I've taken away these two tiny pixels here, notice that this is how important a single pixel is, right? If I take away 2 pixels here, or 1 pixel even, notice how much sharper this edge becomes now because of that. This point, literally this point where I removed 1 pixel, looks sharp. And that is why pixel art can be very difficult, because you can remove literally one pixel and you change the entire appearance of a line. Okay? So just use your judgment. That's what I'd say. I don't think you've done a bad job. And if you want to look at what I'd recommend doing is looking at really good examples of anti-aliasing, okay? So one really good person, I've saved this person, pardon me, is because they are so good. You can analyze what they do. Let's see if I can find it actually. I don't know if I've still got it. Find it. Let's see if I can find it. I can't find it in the next 20 seconds. I'm going to give up. Quick. Quickly. This. Quickly. This is a classic pixel artist. I can't show that one. That one's rude. What up, Pudnick? What up, Heath? How are you doing, folks? You slept in. That's completely fine. Sleeping is lovely. Been struggling with how to do recently. I want to do art, but I have no idea what. I don't know. Try and get inspired. Maybe watch some movies. Read some comics. That's what I recommend. You don't have to force yourself to do anything. Okay, I can't find this thing, but reference. Reference is what it comes down to. Reference is what it comes down to. So let's take a look at your anti-aliasing. I don't think you've done a bad job at all, actually. I think you've done a really good job. I think that the thing is just being careful of how a shape appears with the anti-aliasing. So here, for example, notice how sharp this line looks. Notice how sharp all of this looks, because this is what it appears like. It appears like a line like that. So it looks jagged. If that's what you want, then that's okay. But if it isn't what you want, you have to play with your anti-aliasing. And this is the tip I'd give with like looking at it from afar. Looking at from afar, especially when you're working on pixel art, you can have two windows open even. You can have two windows open. You can have one like zoomed out. One zoomed out so you can see afar, and one zoomed in. So you can go, well, this is what it looks like here. This is what it looks like close up. That's what I usually do when I work on pixel art. And that's going to help you see, because there's so much that can change, right? If I remove this pixel here, that changes the hair completely. 2 pixels. 2 pixels have made the hair seem a bit more thick. So anti-aliasing is one of those things that it can be practiced by practicing it. And don't go, it can be practiced by practicing it. It can be practiced by doing it and checking, you know, doing it and checking what changes it's made. And that's how you're going to learn, you know. You're going to learn, okay, well, it's made a change here. If I remove just one, how soft does that make it? How does that change the shape? How does that affect the shape? And it's going to depend on every pixel art piece you do and the shapes that you're trying to achieve. But I think you've done a pretty good job, actually. I think you've done a pretty good job. To practice it, like I said, get some reference and research on the styles of anti-aliasing that you like, because some people do lots of different types of anti-aliasing. Like some people over anti-alias, and that can be an entire style itself. You know, that's not a bad thing to do. So get some research on the types of styles that you like. Try and mimic that in your own pieces, and try and learn the effect that you're having by putting pixels in certain places. And I think you're good. I think you already are a solid artist. You're already a solid artist, so just more practice in those types of avenues. Look at research, reference, practice with simpler shapes, you know. Anything that you do, this goes with art just in general. You don't need to create the next Mona Lisa to you don't need to spend 400 hours on a painting in order to learn painting. You can spend like 3 hours with a very focused study of let's just say of one aspect. Let's just say anti-aliasing for this purpose, right? You can spend 3 hours just solely focusing on anti-aliasing. On what? Doesn't have to be crazy things. It can literally just be, as we said, a circle. Let's see how it changes. Let's do this line, you know. Let's do this line. You can literally do that. This is how I did it when I was originally learning. I was like, well, let's just mess with it. Let's just mess with it and see what it looks like. just mess with this line, okay? This is the perfect line to go with. You don't even need to do that much. Let's just do that. Let's see how this changes it. Let's get some different shapes going on. You can even break lines. What happens if I break lines with it? Can you make it all softer? You can. That's kind of cool. How did I do that? You can change the line width. Check out my tutorial, actually. In the Ultimate Pixel Art tutorial, I have this as an example where you can like thin. Notice how this makes the line appear like it has a different width throughout it, where they've got dark and then they've like let off. You know what I mean? You can do so many different things with different colors outlines, like sell out and stuff like that. That's called selective outline or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. But with anti-aliasing, different colors, you can change the appearance of lines, and it's really cool. You know? Let's do something like this now. Let's see what this looks like. Notice I'm just putting it in random places, and I'm checking what it looks like. This makes that look sharp. If I put one there, kind of works, but maybe I just want to get rid of them, actually. And that looks a bit better. Okay, maybe let's put this black line back there. That makes that look a little bit sharp. Kind of like what it does there. I don't like that one too much. Let's put that back there. I like that a lot. This is literally my process. My entire process of anti-aliasing is I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. I don't like that. Let's do the same here. There you go. I like that line a lot. This is my line. I like that. And that's what you do. There's no real right or wrong. It's just, what do you like? What do you not like? Do you like the appearance of it? Does it look good? Does it not look good? This is why I find pixel art really time consuming, a lot of trial and error. It's definitely harder than you think. You know? And it's problem solving. It's problem solving. And that's why it's really meditative, because it's kind of like a coloring book. You just sit down and place pixels. You push pixels around until you get the configuration of pixels that you like. It's deceptive, basically. You'd love a Stardew Valley game in that style? Yeah, that would be sick. It's a great idea. Thanks for the feedback. I should research more which ones would fit more my style, and thank you for the compliments. Of course, Marcus. Thank you so much for sharing. Lovely artwork. My style involves no anti-aliasing. It's too complicated for me. Yes, I also I like both. I like lots of different styles. I got no bias. No bias when it comes to styles. I like them all. Spoken about on stream. You already know. That's just for me. Okay, need feedback on the posing. Here we go. 3D piece here. Excuse me. 3D piece here by Juho Sprite. I have a hard time finding a good pose that looks dynamic enough. It always feels kind of awkward. The character has kind of short limbs, but there must be a way to improve it somehow. Any feedback? Also, it's kind of hard for me since this is 3D. Making 2D feels easier to make it dynamic. In this case, I tried making the FOV really high to make it more dynamic. The only downside in this one is when it shows his back, the character feels oddly small or far away because the limbs are facing only the front. So the only dynamic part is frontal. Well, getting an entire dynamic pose, 360 pose, will be difficult because some perspectives, they're just going to look flat, right? Like you can put Superman. If you look at Superman from a certain point, it'll look like a dot. So, like, let's say you have a Superman pose. Let me explain what I'm talking about here. You have Superman, yeah? The fist up and the, you know, you do that. Got the arms going. If you look at Superman in this pose from this angle, it's going to look like this. It's just not going to look that dynamic, you know? So 3D is harder, definitely. But short limbs, problem. Based on the amount of time you've been streaming, it'll be 3 hours until you get to mine. Yeah. Takes a while, Luca. Takes a while. Another pose I made, but it looks like about to kick a ball or something. I think... Okay. What am I going to say? When it comes to posing, when it comes to anything... When it comes to posing or anything, the best thing that you can look at is reference. Cool that we get to see so much art today, yeah. reference. Pose reference. That's a real thing. Because poses are difficult, right? Posing is not an easy thing to do, I don't think. Because you have to think about not just a cool pose, but how to balance the pose where it doesn't look awkward, you know? Like if I draw a character like this. Static. Boring. Yeah? Now, if I draw a character like this, unbalanced. It's kind of balanced, but it's because they're like jumping in the air, you know? But that looks unbalanced because all of the weight. You have to think about the weight. One cool trick that I've seen actually for... One awesome trick for poses is to think about it like a triangle. And where the weight is distributed on this triangle. And if you look at the triangle like this, notice how it's all coming out to the right here because of the arms and limbs, and this is the straight line down the center mass. But then it feels unbalanced, like this character's going to fall over. So you can try and balance that out. Like maybe, how would you balance that out? Maybe let's put a foot there, you know? Now we're going to do the splits or something. You're going to do the splits. Maybe bring that leg down. Now all of a sudden they're like, there we go. Now we have a strong pose. Don't draw just mocap and render down to what you need. Have a look at this. Motion. Who's got motion capture? Everyone got motion capture? Capture tools? Oh, you can do it on your phone. That's kind of cool. Yeah, you could do that. Reference is easy though. Just get reference. Literally, you can go on Pinterest or anything like that. Type in pose. Type in dynamic pose. And you'll get a bunch of naked people, basically. You'll get a bunch of naked people. What up, Jones? Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has a lot of cool unorthodox poses. Let's have a look. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Yeah. But even if you look at something like this, right? This is a piece of artwork. I don't think this is actually from the game. This is just a piece of artwork. But when you look at something like this, what do I think of immediately when I look at this? What do you think of? I look and think of the whole angle is how cheap it is compared to the giant rooms you need to use. You know what's cheaper? Just looking at a photograph that someone else has taken. Or do it yourself. So this is I think of parkour. Parkour. There you go. Type in parkour reference. Parkour pose. Literally. Oh my god. This is actually pretty funny. This is actually pretty funny. One of the first things that pops up is like you get like 4 poses like this. Look at this. Every single one of them basically is doing this pose. Parkour. Sports. Sports are your best references because sports are dynamic. If you want a dynamic pose, look at sports. Rugby's a good one. Like tackling. If you want someone to do that, tackling's good, parkour's good. All of these are good. I think the problem that you're going to have with your character is just like you've mentioned yourself. It's the limbs, you know? It's the limbs. Your limbs are very short, and it's not gonna be hard to make it dynamic, but you can't really get the hand. Like this is me, right? My arms are this long. You can't even see them. But if I do this and now I try to be dynamic with it, like I look like shaking maracas or like a T-Rex that's having a fit or something. Maybe look at old school games like, yeah, Rayman. Rayman doesn't even have arms. What up, Dave? How you doing? Draw a little under-nose mustache too for the second face. How's it going, Dave? Yeah, does Bomberman have short arms? No, Bomberman's got long-ass arms. Apart from the original one. The original one, this is really cool, actually. But they still got kind of long arms. Pardon me. T-Rex having a video. Rayman. Yeah, Rayman doesn't have arms. Cheated. Just don't give your character arms. But look how dynamic they can be with Rayman. Because their arms are actually, even though they don't have arms, they would have long arms. You know? They would have long ass arms. If they had arms. Your character has very small arms. And it's going to be very difficult to make it it'll be very difficult to make it as 3D, as dynamic, because like I said, you're like tucked into the body. Gotta go, enjoy the stream as usual. Take care. Thanks, Fmadged. If I call you Fmadged then. Thanks, Majd. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. What up, Christian? Doing pretty good. Recovering from 1.5 hour gig from yesterday. It was insane. All the bands which opened for us was so good. Oh, that's awesome. How did the gig go? You had a great time? Did you crowd surf? Like, these are pretty cool, but I think one thing that all of these are missing, and this is really obvious to me now, is look at these. There isn't much rotation, right? There isn't much rotation in the body parts. Notice how they're all aligned the same way. Like, you have all, if we imagine a line sticking out of all of these poses, right? You got one, body, bottom, legs, and hands. Every single one of these, if we imagine an arrow sticking out from the same direction, they're all facing the same direction. When you see someone doing something dynamic, like in a parkour pose, for example, or in, let me just get one. Let me get a reference here. Take this one. This is a really good one. I know this isn't that relevant to your character, but look at how each of the planes are. Like, facing that way, facing that way, facing that way. Like, the whole body is twisted. You know? The whole body is twisted. You've got the face and head that way. You've got the body going that way. And you've got the legs and the hips going that way. So that's obviously going to feel dynamic. If the whole character was like this, the whole person was like this, all facing the same direction, feels static. So I think you need to just change up the dynamic poses. A good example of it needs you change up the direction, the rotation. Change the rotation of like the hips. You're moving your hips. You know, if you ever jump, you know, try jumping and twisting. You'll see that your body is moving in all different directions. Good example of dynamic pose with short limbs is Rowdy Mouse. Earthbound. So look. Rowdy Mouse, Rowdy Mouse, Rowdy Mouse. Is it like a little guy? Rowdy Mouse. Band. It's alright, yeah, it was a band I've only gigged with a couple times, and drummer isn't the best, so she kept going out of time. Other than that, it was good. Hey! Still did good job though, right? Still managed to play. Dynamic pose. I mean, yeah, they're pretty good. It kind of just has the same pose. Just has one pose. Stand. Stand with your limbs out. Unless I'm just like not seeing something here. Looking at this, for those of you that are wondering. Rowdy Mouse. Interesting. Cool looking character though. Yeah, twisting. Twisting is something that there isn't a lot of twisting going on. Like, check this out. Look, the characters all facing the same direction. There's no twisting. There's no like overlap, you know? So take a look into that. But awesome. Awesome job and cool character. Let's do talk about on stream. Next up, let's go. Can someone help me with this running cycle? We got quite a lot of feedback. Yeah, that's what it first looked like. Remove this frame and make it the last 30 milliseconds. Not bad. Too noisy. I do agree that it's too noisy. Better. Looks better. More clear. Running. Take a look at the frames individually. Boom. Boom. think your volume is changing quite a lot. Be careful of volume change. Notice the size of the leg in this frame, and then the size of the leg in this frame. Thick to thin, thick to thin. Try and keep the volume consistent throughout, otherwise you're going to get like a janky looking character. Closer leg feels longer than the back. In this part here, the closer leg feels shorter than the back one. It's changing a lot. Volume, but how about length also? Volume includes the length. Volume is length times width times height, or something like that, for a regular solid or cuboid. And I think about it like that. So you're thinking about everything, like this, for example. Like if I have this object here, which is a sphere, and I stretch the sphere out. If I just take this sphere and I just do this. Oops, what the heck is it? If I just do this and pull it out, the entire sphere is just getting bigger. If you stretch something out, it should also get thinner. You know what I mean? If you squash something in, like this, it should stretch outwards. Opposite. You know what I mean? And that's the same with your body. Everything. So you're saying it's okay to stretch a leg down 1 pixel as long as the total pixel... I'm not talking about total pixels. I'm not talking in terms of pixels. Because sometimes you can have less pixels that looks the same amount of volume. Sometimes you can have more pixels and it looks less volume. Pixels are volume? Kind of. Kind of. Like, if you had sometimes, like, I wouldn't think about it in terms of pixels. I would think about it just in terms of how it looks. Because sometimes you might need more pixels to represent a stretch, you know? If that makes sense. It's not always going to be like 15 pixels, you know? It's not always going to be like 15 pixels exactly every time you move it. Because you still want it to look dynamic. You don't want it to look robotic. I think if you kept the same amount of pixels every time, it might look more robotic, which is not a problem if you want something to be robotic. But notice, like here, the volume, it's just volume change inconsistencies. And I think some of the frames are like here, there isn't much of a change other than the character changes like position between some of the frames. For any sort of running, for any sort of animation, reference. Get reference. You can type in run cycle, right? When you don't understand, when you're first doing any sort of first animation, right, and you've never done run cycles before, just study it, you know, study a run cycle. You can do that by checking out video footage of someone running in slow motion, break down the key poses. That's going to be pretty difficult for a beginner. So what else can you do? You can check out actual breakdowns, like in the what's it called, animator's guide or something like that. What's it called? Not anime. There's a book. There's a book that I recommend, and I can't remember the bloody name of it. Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams. That's it. Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams literally has hundreds, if not thousands, of breakdowns. I'm going to get one up right now. Animator's Survival. I'm just going to type in run cycle. Run cycle reference. Now, the important thing to do is not to just copy the run cycle. You don't want to just copy the run cycle. You want to understand what is happening. You understand what's happening, why it's happening. This is the run cycle from Richard Williams' Survival Kit. And it talks about, when you read the book, it talks about the different positions in what's happening, like the contact phase, the down phase. Look, notice how the head is moving. The head is changing. It's not just one static part. The head is bobbing up and down in an arc. Everything is moving in an arc because arcs are in animation all of the time. The arm moves and swings, guess what? In an arc. That's animation 12 principles. You know what I'm saying? Animation is very, very difficult, but take something like this, try and recreate it in your style, and then you'll go, oh, okay, I understand this a bit better, and learn why. And then learn what happens if, well, what happens if the head is dragging backwards? What happens if I move the arm backwards? And you'll get a completely different, cycle. Run cycle, walk cycle, all that stuff. That's what I recommend. But nice work anyway. It's not easy. Run animations are not easy. Any sort of animation is not easy, so good job. Where did that image come from? Can you link in the Discord? The image comes from, literally just type in run animation reference or run cycle reference. That's all you need. There's millions of them. There's millions and millions and millions of reference for that. Gumi Naomi, let's go. Check this out. First time animating, super simple. I think I got everything. What do you think? Animation timing's okay. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think for your first little animation, looks really cool. Super simple. You've there's obviously not a lot of pixels to work with, which is harder, and you've kept it like conservative, which is nice. Maybe the only thing that looks a little off is the tip of the tail is moving, but the bottom isn't. I would wonder what would happen if I just switched this pink pixel, this individual pink pixel here, onto this side for one frame. During that, just to see what it looked like if it was like flapping rather than just the edge flapping, the end of the tail. But other than that, really, really cool. Simple, couple of frames animation. This is a great place to start practicing. So keep it up. Spoken about on stream. Next up, fluid effect feedback and tips. Me again, seeking for a little help and tips from you guys. This time it's for this smoke effect or paint and water effect. I've looked at a lot of references. Feel like I'm not near to what I'm looking to achieve. Okay. I think you haven't done a bad job. It definitely reads as water to me. Is it smoke or water? I'm not sure. They're very different. Smoke effect or paint and water effect. So which one is it? Yeah, that's a good question. Which one is it? Because I feel like they're both very different. Even though they look sort of similar, they'll have different mechanics. Like this is what paint and water looks like. And that might be why it doesn't look like either. Because you're trying to achieve two different things. Like this is paint and water. Smoke. Reference. And this is smoke. And notice the biggest difference that I see between the smoke and the paint and water is the smoke is layers of transparency and very wispy. Depending on the source of the smoke, obviously. If it's a bigger source of smoke, it would be bigger. This one's a bit more like billowing smoke. There's lots of different types, you know. Reference all of the things. That's what I learned. It's the easiest way. It is genuinely the easiest way to improve. Start using reference, you know. Start using reference for your work. So I think that's where you're having a problem here. It kind of looks like water. It kind of looks like smoke. No, it doesn't look like all of them. And I think the elements of it, like you've got wispy elements here. Like this and like dotty elements, but you also have big, plump, chunky elements as well. And that's why it's looking a little off. It doesn't look exactly right. Try and break down the characteristics of the individual like effect that you're going for, you know? What are how do you break down the characteristics of something? What's the shapes look like overall? What are the basic shapes of the structure? What's the basic form of the structure? You can look at shapes, you can look at form. What's the color? Also considering like material, transparency, all that kind of thing, because as we saw before, smoke looks a little bit more transparent than the paint and water effect. What type of shapes? If you have things like fire, it depends on the source, you know? What kind of source do these things come from? Not like sauce like red tomato sauce, but you get the point. They have different, like this image makes me super curious though. What is the image for? I want to see more. Yeah, it is. Look, it is a very nice image, isn't it? It's a very nice image. And this thing here is a great design. It kind of reminds me of like a Destiny type thing. It gives me Destiny vibes. But anyway, like this reminds me less of, it's obviously paint in water, but it also looks like fabric, doesn't it? And I think it looks like fabric because of the amount of folds and also the opaque nature of it. It's not transparent. But I think your form is a little confused as well. Like, even though this is like a random blob in the water, it still sticks to general basic form. Like, it looks really complicated, but it's actually not, because if we simplify this, it's just, if we simplify this in terms of a sphere, it looks like this. Light source on the right. That's the entire thing simplified. How do you see that? How do you take something which is complicated and see that? Let's simplify it. Look. You can blur it like this. Squint your eyes. You know, squint your eyes and you'll see that overall form. You know what I mean? That's the effect that'll have. And you can try and recreate that in your piece. Your piece has got like dark and light everywhere. It doesn't have a thingy. It doesn't have a lot of form to it, you know, and that's probably why it doesn't look like the effect that you're going for. Are you an artist professionally? Like, that's your real life job? No, I used to work as a freelance artist. I now no longer do that. I work in a stock room. What up, Moki? How you doing? This is such a good trick, by the way. Desaturating. It makes things so much clearer when you're looking to contrast colors in a single piece. Yeah, values, not just desaturating, because desaturating actually changes. Just desaturating an image changes the color as well, changes the tone as well, because it's not the right like color profile. Doing great, and I'm doing pretty good. Thanks, doing pretty good. If you gotta go, no worries at all. Thanks for hanging out today. Okay, let's do a couple more. I'll maybe do like one or two more because my voice is starting to hurt. That's usually the point that I try to stop. Okay, wait, what do you mean? Okay, so if I take an image, like, let's just take this. It's to do with the color profiles, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm using the color profile and it's transferring the color profile to a value black and white color profile. Whereas if I just take this image and I just go to edit, tonal correction, hue, saturation, luminosity, and just reduce the saturation, it's not the same thing. Look. Notice how it's much darker, actually, and you don't get the full range of values. You're not actually, you're not looking at the actual tone. You're looking at a desaturated version of the image, which is changing the tone. And not a lot of people know that. And this is annoying, obviously. It's really annoying because you want it to look the same. One more thing, let's try. You can do a black layer on top and then change that black layer to color mode. And look, you get a closer approximation. So if you are using an art software if you're using art software and you want to check the values of something, it's not perfect, but if you want to use art software and get a closer approximation, put a black layer on top, change it to color mode, and there you go. You've got yourself a little value checker layer there. I usually do that and just call it value checker if I'm using a different piece of software, but this one has a built-in like profile. What is this called again? Sorry, the image on the right. What, this thing? Smoke in the water? Smoke in the left? It's just like a color profile. Just type in like a grayscale color profile, and you can set up desaturation versus color profile. Yeah, just like color profile value checking. If you Google that, you'll get some information on it. There's actually a big Twitter thing, or X or whatever it's called. There's a big Twitter post about an explanation, basically. Let me see if I can find it, because I did bookmark it. Pretty sure I bookmarked it anyway. Smoke on the water. Let me have a look. I can't seem to find it. Did have it. Maybe I didn't. You know when you think you did, but you didn't? You think you did, but you didn't. Guess I didn't. Oh well, I'll find it eventually. But yeah, just desaturating something isn't a good indicator, basically. Nobody tells you that. For years I was doing value studies like that. Not years, probably a couple months. But anyway, next up. Let's just say spoken out on stream. Big portrait of a character just practicing. Okay. Feel the hand is a little strange and I'm a little unsure about the lights. This is a really cool little character. Amazing t-shirt. I love how well this reads. I love the chunky pixels, first of all, like the pixel outlines. And this is specifically for determining proper shading colors for the same hue versus seeing what with desaturation. It's just if you want to compare values. If you just want to check the values of an image, which is really useful to do, like I want to see what the value contrast is like, because values are more important than colors usually when it comes to like form, when it comes to contrast, when it comes to composition. Values are really important. So sometimes you want to check the values. Sometimes you want to check the values of your piece. But if you're checking the values with saturation and not a color profile or not an accurate color profile, like we said, like we've shown before, you're not getting an accurate representation of the values. They're going to be different. You know what I'm saying? You think of the same one as made to this one. Yes, it is that one. It is that one. Let me bookmark it for future reference. You have that t-shirt? Let's go. Check it out here. Boom. So, example of power of values. Painting by great masters, blah, 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 blah. And desaturating Photoshop doesn't accurately portray brightness at all. So you can go into this. Perceptual mode is much more accurate the way we perceive brightness and contrast. Because that's what it does, basically. You can go through this. There's a whole science to it. There's a whole science to it. I didn't learn the science. What I did was go, okay, what do I need to do? I don't need to know. For shading, no. For composition, forms, yeah, for everything. It's all brand new to me. I'm actually cyber. Hey, no worries at all. Any questions that you've got, I do not mind answering. Do not mind. But yeah, check this out if you're interested in the science. I don't know the specific explanation. I just know that just use a color profile. I use practical knowledge. Practical knowledge. Just use color profile. Don't need to understand why. Hello from the Atlantic Coast, USA. Very interesting stream you have here. What up, Professor Stevens? How's the Atlantic Coast going? Thanks for joining the stream. Let's move on. This is going to be the last piece that we look at today, because my throat started to hurt. Guns and Roses. Very cool. Snowing, alas. Let's go. You better wrap up warm. Get something. What do you eat in the snow there? Well, not in the snow. You don't eat anything in the snow. Definitely not yellow snow. But what kind of food do you eat there when it's cold? Is there anything special that you have? Okay. So they said, I feel like the hand's strange and I'm a little unsure about the lights. You mean the lighting, the shading? I think it looks cool. Pea soup, lots of pea soup. That sounds amazing. Thanks for subscribing, Marcella. Appreciate you. Pea soup sounds good, actually. So, yeah, I think this looks great. A little bit that looks off is like the bottom of the arm here. Kind of like jutting out. Unless you've got like another arm growing. Two hands. Hello. I'm just messing. The hands. Okay, hands are difficult. You know what? Do you know how you improve your hands? Reference. Reference and practice. Reference and practice. You don't need to draw a million hands. Just spend like an hour. If you do 1 hour of hand study, you will improve. But I think it looks fine. I don't think it looks really bad. I don't look at it and go, oh my god, the hands suck. I think it actually looks good. We need a reference emoji. We actually do. We need reference emojis. I need like a big thing, a big tannoy thing, a big screen that comes up and goes, do, do, do. Reference. I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to do that for the next one. Yeah, I think this is cool. It's a very cute character, and you worried about the lighting. I don't think the lighting's bad at all. I think it's basically what we spoke about before. It's what we spoke about before from the pillow shading everything from the front and not wanting to leave areas in light and shadow, not considering. How do you practice this? With basic 3D ball, you know? Basic 3D ball. Your fundamentals will take you so far. Like, that's the thing with art. You don't have to do anything super complicated to become a good artist. You really don't. You just have to practice the fundamentals. Practice the fundamentals, and you'll get really good. You'll get really, really good just by doing the fundamentals. Like, look at how much has changed from oops. Look at how much has changed just from me applying the fundamentals of on. Oh, I could have just done that. What an idiot. Look at how much, what the heck? Look how much changes just from applying the fundamentals. You have form now, you know? Value, form. And all I did, literally, the only thing that I did was to practice this was sphere. Light it from one place. What does it look like? You know? What does it look like? Looks like this. There's the core shadow. There's the bounce shadow. There's the highlight. There's the cast shadow. Ba-ba. Done. The understanding of how colors and light work. That's it. That's on a basic shapes like spheres, cylinders. You will be able to shade literally anything. Could definitely use some basic instruction on art concept. Yes, Professor Stevens. I have been thinking about that, actually. I've been thinking about that recently. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about doing more tutorials in a different form. And I'm still thinking about it. And I'm not going to share it because I learned something recently about... I've known this for a long time, actually. But if you share your plans, you're less likely to do them. So I'm not actually going to do them. I'm not actually going to do them. I got the science down. It's composition I can't do. Yeah, composition is difficult, yeah. Talaba, what's going on? How you doing? You're just catching the end here. How are you doing today? Spoken about on stream. By the way that I've shaded this character, that's also a style choice. Something that you need to recognize as an artist, that there isn't a set, this is the right way to do things. There's a lot of, you can choose to do things whatever way that you want. That's the beauty about art. Someone could look at it and go, that looks wrong, and you can just go, not to me, it doesn't. Some things do look bad, but I mean, objective as well. Okay, I think we're going to call it there. We got through some today. We got through some. How many we got left, actually? 4, 8, 9, 10. We got through about 10. 10 in a stream is not bad. 10 in a stream is not bad. That's pretty good. Been preparing to paint the new house. So tired. Just use a spray gun or something. That's what they need. House spray guns. But thank you. Let's talk for a little bit. Let's chat. You got the science down? Is composition? Yeah, composition is difficult. Check out Composition for Noobs, Professor Stevens. That's a good video on it's a good video on YouTube. We have a FAQ. Oh, Professor Stevens is in the ad. Basically, we have an FAQ section in the... We have a help section. No, we have a resources section. That's what I'm thinking about. We have a resources section here in the Discord. Boom, 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 boom. And in the resources section, you will find... Where is it? You will find a list of curated help. I have curated the help because we got people that were just spamming their own tutorials in it. And the problem with tutorials online is that they're not vetted by anyone, and anyone can make a tutorial. And sometimes the information that people are putting out there is dog trash, or it's biased, or it's got a poor approach to it, in the sense that it's not helping you actually learn, and it's limiting your mindset, you know? So I've done my best to compile some resources that I have personally found very useful and other people have suggested to me, and these you can check out. So composition in perspective, composition for noobs is very useful, for example. Perspective backgrounds for TV animation by BAM Animation, very good video, for example. Some general YouTube videos for art. What I was saying, Professor Stevens, is check out the resources channel in the Discord. There's lots of different things if you want to learn just basic art, some pixel art, there's some game dev ones as well. And it's a work in progress. If anyone has any suggestions for links or learning resource, send them my way. I will check them out. I will try and vet them as much as possible. Because I want to make sure the information that you're learning, it's not just bullshit. You know, when I make tutorials or when I make videos, I do my best to make sure the information is right. It's not biased. It's helping you learn it and not just take you down a rabbit hole. You ever made a game in Pico 8? I haven't, but I do love Pico 8 and I love the palette. Wait, my problem right now in my entire life is consistency and actually sitting to draw. I feel like it gets so much better if I just do the work. Yeah. James Gurney has a YouTube. Oh my goodness, Featherwalk, you are in for an amazing time. Yeah, James Gurney has a YouTube channel and it's very, very good. He literally just paints and makes cool tutorials. James Gurney is like a legendary artist. For those of you that don't know, made the Color and Light book, which I struggled with color theory for so long until I read Color and Light. Like I did do you know I'm in this Discord channel, right? Called Art Tubers. And it was for this. Remember the big YouTube art collab? The big YouTube art collab, I did this on YouTube, and James Gurney, there was 2 different versions, and James Gurney took part in the other version. This is James Gurney's part here, and I was like, holy heck. I mean, James Gurney's in this Discord channel, dude. That's insane. There's loads of amazing artists in this Discord channel. 1000, Curry Go, there's so many amazing people. Maybe he has some tips on painting the house. He can show you how to paint a house. You think there's anything to be gained from watching old Bob Ross videos? 100%. You will gain an appreciation for having fun with art. How can I join the Discord server? The link is right there in the chat. It's in the description. It's in everything. Yeah, you can. Having fun with art. Having fun and enjoying the process is a huge part of it. Sometimes you don't want to just sit down and like stress about learning and stuff. Like learning is great, don't get me wrong. Learning is great, learning is fun, but if you stress so much about improving all the time, it's about balance, right? It's about balance, and only you know the balance that you need. Like some people can study loads and for hours and they can be fine with that and that's what they find fun, but other people might not. Other people might just want to draw something, might want to make some fan art or whatever. My problem right now for my entire life is consistency and actually sitting to draw. I feel like I get so much better if I just do the work. Discipline. Discipline is how you get there. Remove distractions. Pomodoro timing. Look into productivity things like Pomodoro timing is really good. I use that. Discipline. Removing distractions is huge. Like sit down in the room. Sit down in a room, no phone, no nothing. Just with the equipment, get it ready. And set a time for it, you know. I'm going to do 1 hour. I'm going to do 3 hours and, you know, build it up over time. Not just something I think you can just jump at. If you're struggling with the discipline, you just got to build it up. I'd recommend reading a book called Deep Work, Mookie. There's a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport? Look. Yeah, Deep Work by Cal Newport is a really, really good book about how to spend your time effectively. I struggled with that a lot when I was a freelance artist because there's so many distractions. There's so many distractions. I'm struggling with it a bit now, so maybe I'm going to reread the book again and just get back into the zone. I'm making a song for school and my brain is mush after listening to it over and over. Take a break. Listen to it tomorrow. No worries, Mookie. I'll briefly run you over what I did anyway. Hold on. I'll briefly run you over some things you can do. So, why did you quit doing freelance? Just the business side too much? The real answer is I stopped enjoying doing art as a job. Because I love art. I don't mind the business side, actually. I don't mind that. I love art. Like, art is something that I really enjoy. You know, art is one of the only things in my life where I've been able to just, I can sit, like, I think you learn, or I've learned that things that I enjoy are things that I can willingly learn about. Like, that's what I enjoy. If I don't spend the time willingly learning about something, or if I'm forced to try and learn something and I don't enjoy the thing, I actually find that impossible. I also think I have a little bit of ADHD, like hyper focus ADHD, where when there's something that I like, I can hyper focus on that thing. I can hyper focus on it really easily, like 8 hours pass, easy win. Whereas if I don't enjoy something, it's difficult for me to do like 10 minutes of work on it. That's what I find just with my brain. Cycling through obsessions, yeah. And like I did that with programming. I did it with learning music and guitar. I've done it with art. I've done it with fitness and running and lifting and weights and stuff. So freelance art, the reason I stopped doing that is because I just stopped enjoying it. I stopped enjoying it, and I lost the love that I have for art. Like, art, it became associated with work, and work became just like no fun, and I lost that kind of enjoyment for it. And lots of things are going on in life at the minute, which means I need to have more stable jobs and looking for other jobs and stuff. You know, life things. You know, I'm a human being as well at the end of the day, so that's life. And art isn't the most secure thing, especially what I've seen, especially with the change of AI and stuff, or the introduction of AI. It's so uncertain, you know. It's so uncertain that is just an increased level of like stress with finding work in the art industry. And I don't know how that's going to go. And I don't, adapt, overcome, whatever, but I'd rather just work in something else. You know, I'd rather just work in something else that I enjoy and do art as a passion. I do art. That's why I spend every Friday looking at your art and being amazed by it, and learning from it. And, you know, I prefer to like it. The definition of play is that it's not work, exactly. And I love art, so yeah, why would I do that to myself? It's making it more challenging, though. You can generate some really solid reference. Yeah. For me, it's more helpful to draw 10 bad drawings and learn from them than just make one and try to perfect it for 2 hours. Yeah. And that might be different for somebody else. What up, Jar of Bees? How you doing? We're just finishing up here, Bees. How are you doing today? How's it been? Been a while since I've heard from you. What's going on? What's crack-a-lackin'? I've been off. I've not been doing much art things recently. Get back to my own project soon. Soon. Actually, what day is it? Probably do some tomorrow. Saturday, and then chilling. All good, mate. Same as always, with a few bumps in the road, mate. Isn't that life? Isn't that just life, Bees? A few bumps in the old jaw. A few holes in the bee jaw. If you don't, by the way, folks, if you're not following Bar of G's, Bar of G's, dude, Bar of G's. If you're not following a Jar of Bees, please go do so. Amazing artist. Streamer as well. I haven't been able to catch one of your streams recently. Already claimed the IG handle. It's probably already gone. Probably not a thing. Probably already a thing. I mean, not a thing. Oh, my brain doesn't work. Endless bumps. Yeah, it's just, life is just endless bumps. But anyway, folks, I am going to jump. Not actually, not literally. Your capture card broke, so you're waiting for a new one? Ah, okay. Gangster bar, exactly. Ah, tech problems, man. Isn't that the problem? Tech problems. But yeah, we're going to bounce. We're going to bounce now, folks. Thanks for hanging out. We're live both on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you all, everyone, for hanging out. This video will be on YouTube permanently for anyone that wants to just watch to get some feedback on their work or whatever. Have a great rest of your night, everybody, and I'll catch you next Friday on the YouTube or Monday, Wednesday on the Twitch. Peace, everybody. Goodbye. Pudnik, Neocoder, Jar of B, Lizard-like, Laba, made by Jones, of ETFN, Minnie Titani, Majd, Christian, Heat Dakota, Professor Stevens, Featherwalk, Lucas, Dom, Mookie, everybody. AQE pineapple. Goodbye, everybody.